Okay, so it's gonna be a wild journey. I started thinking about Beauty and the Beast. I've been thinking about that for a while, and just in general, the Disney princesses, and Taylor imagery and all of that. But then, the more I thought about Beauty and the Beast, the more I kept figuring things out or realizing things, and so it's gonna turn into a series. It spiraled out of control. So this was the first thing I was thinking about the other day. It jogged my memory about, oh yeah, I had wanted to do a video about this. So I was thinking about the magic mirror in Beauty and the Beast, and that reminded me of the line from like Anti-Hero, stare directly at the sun, but never in the mirror, and then also made me think of like the Carly's looking camp right in the eye mirror, and then the idea of the glass shattering and delicate and all of that. So I was thinking about that in terms of what does it mean to no longer look in the mirror. And just in general, some of the Beauty and the Beast references, like what are they all pointing to? Because I've been noticing a lot of them for a while. So, one of the more recent ones, was the music, the Bejeweled music video. Obviously, looks a lot like the end of Beauty and the Beast. His balcony at the West Wing, and she's wearing a yellow dress, and also the stained glass looks really like a lot of the stained glass in Beauty and the Beast, like of the rose and everything. Let's see, and also it seems to have like a very similar aesthetic to the castle in Beauty and the Beast. It starts for most of the movie. It's this kind of very dark gothic castle, and then it gets transformed into light, angels and frolicking everything. So she goes to keep the castle. And also, I think it's important that this is very France coded, because Jack looks like Louis the 15th, and she looks like Marie Antoinette. And this looks a lot like Versailles with this, Petit Trianon, folklore house in the woods. And then I also realized too that this is unrelated, but the Orion constellation also shows up here if you go back to my previous videos about Orion. So this is interesting, and I've been meaning to make it into a video, but I had made a PowerPoint for one of my random friend groups, and talking about the alchemical imagery about in the Bejeweled music video, and how it indicates like she's going through all of these intense sort of psychological transformative processes, and that she's not ending the movie, she's not ending the music video at the end of a process. She's kind of starting another process. So you can see that reflected here, because this is not the final state of the castle in Beauty and the Beast, if we're going with that thought process, because he goes from keeping his rose in this West Wing behind very similar curtains to this, I might add. It just occurred to me. And then eventually he ends up getting transformed by Belle saying, "I love you," right as the last rose drops. The last rose petal drops. So that's interesting. What else did I say? And this is also like when she wears the obviously the gold /yellow ball gown during Taylor's oldest time, which is referenced in the lyrics of Anti-Hero. And it's a sort of climactic moment when he realizes, oh, I need to let her go because I love her. Blah, blah, blah. Okay. So it's the dragon. And then I started thinking about this. I was thinking about the fountains. So this is the fountain from the Rep Store. This is why we can't have nice things. And I had been thinking about it in terms of this too. This part in the Belle song, the Bonjour song. Here's when she meets Prince Charming, but she won't discover that it's him till chapter 3. I've always appreciated this iconic sheep that decides to eat her book. And then also there's this sort of, can dancer moment in Be Our Guest as well. And that reminded me of this, which I'll get to later. Well, I could talk about it now too. See, I told you it's gonna be wild. It made me think of this movie, The Great Movie Ride at Disney World. And because it's a very similar choreography, it's called like Busby Berkeley Kaleidoscope Cake choreography, where they're standing and all like doing this dance around these tiered layers with all this water coming out everywhere. And that was actually taken out of the movie theater ride, or the Great Movie Ride, after this. And incidentally, the Great Movie Ride was opened in 1989. So, but this part was only there for a little bit, this Busby Berkeley part. But I did see it, so it was confusing to me. It was like watching videos of it and being like, why did I make that up, that was there? But no, they just took it out. And then also in this the Great Movie Ride, there's references to The Wizard of Oz, Casablanca, and Singing in the Rain, which I feel like she has referenced all three of those. And so back to this, which I also realized when I was taking these screenshots that this looks a lot like the I Bet You Think About Me cake, which is also, I don't know what to do with that, but that's something I noticed. And just reminded me of this idea of her. And then also this idea of her blowing up this castle behind her is sort of prefiguring blowing up or burning down the Lover House. What else?